Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking to you about the launch of the new eCOS onboarding app. My name's Sam Jordan. I'm the CEO of Infotrack. Joined today by Liz and Mimi, who are actually going to talk to you about the product itself. The kind of big headline today with this launch is that we are now able to offer every law firm their own branded mobile app and website to onboard their clients. Fundamentally, though, eCOS has always been about three things. So for us, that's faster, easier, safer client onboarding. In a few minutes, Liz and Mimi are actually going to talk to you about elements of that. So the new user experience that's been created and the identity verification process that we use, which is Safe Harbour compliant, which helps deliver across all of these three areas. We'll then also finish the session off with a Q&A to give you guys a chance to ask any questions about what you've seen today. So the new user experience and Safe Harbour identity checks are kind of a key part of what's new. But this is kind of being built on top of a platform that's proven and powerful. So eCOS was already an award-winning product. With it, you get, e-signatures powered by DocuSign. We've got the expertly created onboarding questionnaires, exclusive access to the Law Society's licensed TA forms. And the software integrates with 14 leading case management systems, so you can onboard clients from your own CMS. So there's a great and kind of proven platform there. If you are interested in kind of finding out more about it, there's a lot of good content where we've had some of our clients talking about onboarding at the Onboarding Summit, which is an event that we hosted at the Law Society a couple of weeks ago. So you can find that at the onboardingsummit.co.uk or at infotrack.co.uk, and definitely worth looking at to see how your peers are using digital onboarding. However, what I'm going to do now is pass over to Liz first, just to talk to you a little bit about user experience first, and then Mimi's going to demo for you. Then we'll do the same thing for the Safe Harbour identity checks.
Great, thanks, Sam. So as Sam's just mentioned, the aim of this project was to, get that faster, easier, safer onboarding. So with improvements based on 4 years of working closely with hundreds of law firms and managing tens of thousands individual boarding experiences with a dedicated development team and support team, we use this experience to make the process faster and easier for consumers and law firms, and we reduce the onboarding process to hours and even minutes, which our record completed file was 16 minutes. Our enhanced product includes intuitive design, clear actions and instructions, signposting the journey and celebrating completed tasks. The dynamic forms and next question buttons are there for speed and ease. So what I'll do now is hand over to my colleague Mimi, who's going to demo our new interface for you all.
Okay, so when a law firm places an order with Infotrack detailing the task that they would like the client to complete, we notify the end user of those tasks. They receive an email branded as the law firm, and from within the email, they're able to click on Start Now to actually action their onboarding. So they arrive at an encrypted portal, always branded as the law firm in their colors, and they're asked to SMS verify as we utilize two-factor authentication. So I've just sent myself an SMS code. Just going to pop it into the system. And there's just extra security measures to make sure it's the right party accessing the tasks that you've sent to them. So this is the new onboarding portal for the clients. What we wanted to do here was make the user journey much sleeker, much more straightforward, and very clear as to what's expected from the client. So for the client, they can see the clear journey that they need to undergo, what this list requires them to complete. So here I've been sent one document to sign. I've been sent an ID check, which is broken down into 3 parts. I've also been sent some forms, and my last task is to complete the signing of all the paperwork. So I'm just going to start by showing you how easy it is to sign the paperwork, and also the features that pop up to let the consumer know when a task is completed. So we use DocuSign for our signature provider, just confirming I'm happy to use e-signatures so I know everything's legally binding. Can read through the document my law firm have sent to me, but more legal. When I'm ready to sign, DocuSign will give me 2 automated signatures. I can also choose to manually draw my signature, adopt and sign, finish. I have the option to view my completed documents, but also a very clear what's next button that will take me to the next task I've been asked to complete. On the left-hand side, we break down the task into the separate sections, and the consumer can always track their progress as well. If I don't have, let's say, my identity documents to hand, not a problem. I can always return back to my home page, skip this task for now, and I can head straight to the forms if that's more convenient for me to action now. So I wouldn't actually take you guys through the whole journey, just wanted to show you how much sleeker it is, how much more intuitive it is, and every time a task is successfully completed, we generate a nice tick to let the client know that's all gone through fine. We also have access to the support team here, eCOS support, the number that the client can contact if they have any questions at all. So yeah, that's everything that I've got to share with you guys just now on the new UI. Hopefully you guys agree with me and agree with the rest of the eCOS team that it is a much more intuitive, much more sleeker finish for the client.
Mimi, that's really cool. Would you actually mind just showing a little bit of the forms and how they work for people as well, please?
Absolutely, Sam.
Thank
So
you.
the way that our forms work, if I click on start, is we break down the forms into subsections. On this order, I've only sent the client a personal information form to complete, and there are percentages on the left-hand side that will allow the client to track their progress. So we are able to auto-complete some of the information the solicitor provides to us. So you can see that the client's name has already pulled through. Am I known under any alternatives names? If I click no, I can move on straight to the next question. But because these are smart forms, if I do click yes, the form will automatically adapt and populate to ask me additional questions. And what this means is your client is never answering questions that aren't relevant to them. If they say something is not relevant, any questions that pertain to that will immediately be removed. Occupation. The more progress I make with the forms, we'll see the percentages on the left hand just start to increase as well. Nice and easy format for the client to follow. And if they're not sure at any point where they've missed a question, there's a next required question button that if I click on will take me to any mandatory fields I haven't yet answered. The client also has the opportunity at any point to switch to their mobile phone. If I decide that this would be easier for me to action from my mobile, I can click on continue on mobile. I get given a QR code. If I then scan from my mobile phone, will allow me to carry on with my onboarding from a new device. Sam, is there anything else that you would like me to showcase while I'm still on the new journey?
No, I think that's great. Thank you. So I think the key things to call out there really is based on the experience of onboarding tens of thousands of clients now. We've used that to develop that experience. The signposting is absolutely key, a key bit of feedback that we've had, just making that very, very easy for people to use, to see where they are along the journey, and to help them kind of navigate through that, dropping seamlessly between mobile and desktop as well, depending on their preference for filling these things in. And then the other key bit there is actually celebrating the completion of a particular component by making sure that people know that they've finished a section and move on to the next one. Because actually one of the things we see on our help desk is a lot of people ringing up, even when you do that, even when you make sure that everybody knows where they are. It's a pretty kind of stressful time for people, and it's a big transaction. So quite often people really value that reassurance, and will just ring up and just say, it looks like everything's done. Is everything done? And we're able to say it is, and it's with your solicitor, and you don't have to worry anymore. The dynamic forms, I think, are also really important there. Just adapting, particularly when you get into the kind of TA6 forms and things like that, adapting that journey so that we're only asking you relevant questions, not asking you, questions about leasehold properties if it's a freehold. All of those kind of things just help speed up this process. And as Liz mentioned earlier, we've got clients now onboarding their clients in a matter of minutes. I think hours is reasonable to expect now, but it was a process that could have lasted days. Great. So next thing we're going to talk to you about is one of the other innovations that we've been able to add with the launch of the app, and that's the Safe Harbour compliant identity journeys. So Liz, if you would just like to pick things up here, please.
Thanks, Sam. So eCOS offers you 2 levels of ID checks. So that's your standard and your enhanced. The enhanced VO Plus is our recommended option and offers you the core of an AML check, which includes your PEPs and your sanctions, and soon to include ongoing monitoring. It also means that you can achieve Land Registry Safe Harbour compliance standard. So I think it's important to sort of cover what it means to be Safe Harbour compliant and how to achieve this gold standard ID check. So the requirements involve biometric and cryptographic checking of identity and verification that the individual or individuals signing on behalf of corporations are the owner of the property or otherwise a genuine party to a registrable transaction. So there are 4 steps to meeting this requirement. So step 1 is the requirement is obtain of evidence. So we do this through biometric passports, identity cards from the EU or EEA, or a UK biometric residence permit. So it's important to remember you will only achieve Safe Harbour through an app and with an ID document that has that NFC chip. Step 2, check the evidence. So we must meet the evidence of the first requirement that it's genuine and ensures it's not been forged and is still current. So this is done via your identity check provider. InfoTrack uses, our supplier is GBG. They are the provider of our enhanced ID check VOI Plus. Step 3, match the evidence to the identity. So you must check that the person presenting the information matches the photo in the evidence provided. So this is done in the form of a liveness check. So this matches the biometric information in the chip within the genuine evidence you have obtained. And then finally, step 4, obtain evidence to ensure the transferor, borrower, or lessor is the same person or identity as the owner. So this requirement needs to be met by the conveyancer representing a transferor, borrower, or lessor. So I'm going to hand over to Mimi, who's going to demonstrate an ID check for us.
Thank you, Alice. I'm just going to share my screen again. So when a law firm lets us know that they would like to go ahead with us building a custom app, we're able to then brand the app for them, submit it to the Google Play Store, Apple Store, so that their end clients, your end consumers, can then download your app and begin their onboarding. So it's not just a Safe Harbour ID check that we'll be offering for completion via your branded app, but your clients will also be able to sign your client care pack. They'll also be able to complete, any protocol forms that are sent to them, and any source of funds checks that are sent to them as well. So this is what it looks like when you place the order. The client's going to receive an email branded as your firm, prompting them to download your app from the store and to activate their account. So I've got a really nice, sleek Our Kenneth Listers app that's been created for me. The first time that your client downloads the app, they'll be prompted to log on, set themselves a password. But this is a one-time process that's needed. Once that's done, the client's also given access to the app, and then they can see any cases that you're working on their behalf in. So the app is designed to be of continuous use, meaning if you act for a client in a sale today and a purchase 6 months down the line, they can keep instructing you via the app, and they can continue their onboarding via the app as well. So initially we ask your clients, again, because we use 2-factor authentication, to confirm via SMS that they are the right party. So they'll be sending themselves an SMS code, 6 digits, pop it into the system before they can actually view the breakdown of documents that have been sent to them and the tasks. So here, being welcomed into my workspace, I can see again the breakdown of the different tasks that have been sent to me, 1 identity check, 1 batch of forms, and then the signing task. So today I'm just going to be focusing on the verification of identity. This is broken down into 3 parts. So the first part, we're going to be collecting information from your clients. So their name, their date of birth, address in question. When it pertains to the address, if this ID check is being ordered as part of a sale, we offer you the ability to search the client's address on that they currently reside at, but also the address of the property being sold. So we'll run 2 searches for you. That's now completed. The client's now going to move on to the live ID check. So here, the client has the option to choose the country where their identity document is issued. We can verify ID documents all across the world. When the client's ready, they start the scan, they give access to their camera, and they're prompted to photograph their identity document in real time. So because this is a national identity card that's being utilized, it will not just ask for a photo of the front of the document, but also it will ask the client to photograph the back of the document as well. It's just collecting the data from the ID, and this data we will then run the background searches against. The client's photographing the back of the document, and because this has been done by the NFC journey within the app, the NFC will be able to pick up whether or not the document being utilized is a Safe Harbour compliant document, meaning does it have a chip that we can read within it. If it does pick up that there is a chip, you can see here that it's now prompting the client to complete the NFC chip reading. Once the client clicks start, they're prompted to place the camera right against the chip on their ID document. And in the background, we're scanning the chip, collecting the data we need to make sure that this is a fully Safe Harbour compliant check. That's it. It doesn't take the client any more than 1 minute usually to complete. The client's now asked to take a selfie of themselves. Liveness check is being performed. We're scanning the client's face, making sure they are a real person, not just a photograph stuck in front of the screen, checking their individual markers, which we're then going to compare against the image in the chip. Once this is done, the client then moves on to the final part of their ID check, which is the requirement for them to submit proof of address. So a law firm here can stipulate whether they require just 1 document or 2. In this case, our solicitors have asked for 2 ID documents. We give the client a list of 6 document types that they can submit. Client selects their ID. They have the option to upload an existing document, or they can also take a photograph in real time as well and submit it that way. Second document uploaded, approved, nice and easy. And that's it. The client gets a nice green tick. They know that their ID check is completed. In the background, we'll be running checks to make sure the client is who they say they are, checks on their address, checks to make sure they're not a PEP. No sanctions have been imposed against them, but also checks against the chip that we've read. Now I'm going to show you guys a sample of the results that we return. So this is an example of the Safe Harbour results that we'll then return to you. We've got a really clear summary page that just lets you know exactly what was checked and how your client performed against those checks. So nice and clear, everything is green, all passed. ID document verification, that just lets us know that the document that was utilized is a valid government issued ID. It's not counterfeit, it's not forged. Phase 2 ID, image verification. We've pulled this image from the chip on the client's identity document or from the client's passport, and we've compared it against the selfie that was taken of the client during the process, and we're happy to pass the biometric facial recognition. Address verification is also passed. We haven't found any PEPs recorded against your client. We haven't found any sanctions either, and this is just confirming that this is a land registry Safe Harbour compliant result because the client has utilized a document that has an NFC reading chip within it, and they've also completed the process via a custom built app. We will, of course, go into more details for you on the results. So if I scroll down, we give you the information we pulled from the client's identity card. This is the reference, expiry date, issue date, and again, just verifying that the document is government issued. Phase 2 ID, again, confirming that the biometric facial recognition has passed and the client didn't fail when it came to the liveness check. Address verification, in order for this to pass, we will need to find 2 digital confirmations of the client residing at the property. So the records we're checking here are they registered with a local council? Are they on the electoral register? Does the post office have records of them? Do they have bank accounts linking them to the address they inputted into the system? Or do they have credit cards linking them there? Nice, clear, there's enough of a digital footprint. The client has passed their address check. And as I said previously, we will run 2 address checks if required on a sale. No PEPs have been found here. If it was a scenario where we did find a PEP against your client's name, we'll always provide you with the PEP's full name. You can refer to the ID document we supply below, and you can check, does the middle name match up? but the most telling factor is that we provide the PEP's date of birth. So again, you can refer to the identity document. Does the date of birth match up? Sanctions, very pertinent at the moment. We have a global database of sanctions that we check against. None in this case have been found against your client, but if we had found any, they would be itemized here for you. And once again, just confirming that you have full HMLR safe harbor status. So if anything were to go wrong later down the line, the Land Registry have assured you that they will not be pursuing any further action. So you get a copy of your client's identity document for your records. You get the address documents your client submitted also for your records as well. So it's a pretty comprehensive document that returns. If you're integrated, this will drop straight back into your case management system. If you're not integrated, you'll receive an alert once the checks are done, notifying you that the results are back for you to take a look at. Thank you.
Cool, thank you very much, Mimi. Right, we have had lots and lots of questions from you guys. So just a second, we'll just pull those up. One of them was the fair question was why we showed the desktop journey. We wanted to show both. So you've seen the mobile journey there for the identity check. We just want to show you the desktop journey as well, so you can see that they're basically both the same. Mimi can bring up the mobile app again, so we can just kind of show you a bit more of that journey. We can do that at the end of the Q&A, but the two things mirror and you can move seamlessly from one to the other as well. So had a few questions. Let's start by going through those. Thank you, Gwen. Okay, so that first one. What is the safe harbor standard? Well, Liz talked through that one. I think that's what came at the beginning. The reason that that's a good thing as well, it should be said, it's only the Land Registry standard. You don't have to do it in order to successfully convey a property, but it does mean that if at a later stage there is any kind of issue around identity fraud, HMLR wouldn't pursue you for any kind of recourse there if you have achieved safe harbor standard. One of the challenges of that obviously is your consumer will need to use a piece of identity with an NFC chip in it, which is generally going to be their passport. So what we found is that most of our clients are putting in their welcome letters and in their instructions to clients that would be the preferred piece of identity that we would like them to use in order to make sure that we get those safe harbor results. Keep the questions coming. There's quite a few. Just have a little look. So one question was around what are the case management systems that we integrate eCOS with? So Action Step, Advanced, Access Legal, Clio, InTouch, Leap, Line Time, Osprey, Peppermint, Practice Evolve, SOS, Thomson Reuters case management systems, and Visual Files. So there's a number there. Most of the large ones we have covered off. We've actually helped about 1,000 different clients integrate InfoTrack or eCOS into their case management systems. We have a separate team here that can help with those integrations. And if you use a case management system that isn't one of those listed, isn't one that we've already integrated with, we can work with that CMS provider to make sure that that works. Liz, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. So is the ID element available as a standalone? Yes, it is. So we do offer that web-based journey. So existing clients will know that on the ordering screen, we have your two ID check options. You've got your VOI standard and then the VOI plus via the web journey. Please note that I mentioned earlier, if you do want that safe harbor check, it has to be done via an app. So if you don't want the app, yes, of course, you can just carry on ordering as normal via the eCOS order screen by selecting VOI plus.
Perfect. And a couple of people have asked if they can see one of those order screens, so we will put one of those up at the end of the Q&A as well. There was a couple of questions around VOI Plus and AML. Liz, do you want to talk to that as well?
Yes, so we do get asked, does it replace your AML? So while our existing product VOI Plus does not comply with the fifth directive in that it does not offer ongoing monitoring, we're actually currently working on this and we're looking at about 2-month lead time on that. It does offer your PEPs and sanctions. So as well as your biometric scan and your 2 addresser checks, which goes towards your safe harbor check, it does offer your PEPs and sanctions. So we do have existing clients that likes to choose both, or we do also have clients that are okay with just that VOI Plus offering with your PEPs and sanctions.
Great, thank you. A couple of people have asked, is our safe harbor standard solution as good or better than competitive offerings? It is designed to be as good / better than anything else on the market. So it achieves all of the highest standards that you would expect. And as Liz just said, we will be adding ongoing monitoring to the solution in the next couple of months, maybe even weeks. So we have a couple of questions about integrations with Perfect Portal. So this doesn't replace that. Our integrations with Perfect Portal still will work seamlessly in the same way. This is just really for clients who perhaps aren't using Perfect Portal or have a different quoting system or their own quoting system, so they can still use eCOS and they can still deliver that through this branded app journey. Have a question as well over the branding and what you can do. So throughout the journey, you'll see that obviously you can include your logo in that. Also, all of the colorways of the app and the website can be adjusted to whatever your brand colors are as well. So the color scheme, logos, and then you get editable templates. So obviously you can use any of your own text and language and include any other kind of graphics that you want in there as well. Let's have a little look, see if we've got any more. Can this be done outside of the UK, Liz?
It can. So our ID checks are global. So we have 2 providers, Jumio, who provides us the checks for our standard, and GVG, who provides us with ID checks for the enhanced product. But yeah, completely global. Depending on the data sources of that country, we do try and obtain as much information as possible.
Thank you. When do the changes take effect? So any new clients joining us will go kind of straight onto this new user interface and be able to use the app. And then all of our existing clients as of today now have access to this. And we've had a number for the past month or so using this as part of a beta trial. So we're very confident in the product now as well. It's gone through months and months of testing actually. So anybody who wants to now, if you're an existing client, can just get in touch and register with us, and we will be able to kind of add you to this. But it is a process you have to register for. Another question about the cost of it and the cost of setting up the apps and doing the branding. So we do all of that for you, and there's no cost to doing it as well. Everything with eCOS is ordered on a pay-as-you-go basis, so you'll have a single visible pay-as-you-go fee for ordering eCOS, for ordering the forms, for doing the identity checks. That's all inclusive. Generally, most of our clients obviously pass those costs through as disbursements to their clients, but we've tried to keep that as simple as possible, and in the same way that the kind of eCOS existing clients are used to, those kind of visible pay-as-you-go prices. So there are no additional costs for setting up the app or doing anything like that. In terms of the timeline, that was another question. So what we ask from you is just information around the colorways that you want to use, so your brand colors, your logos, all of those kind of things. We'll then go away, apply those to the templates in the app. That happens pretty quickly. The only bit that can take a little bit of time is the submissions to the Apple Store and the Google Store. So we say that from you providing us with all of the assets that we need to do the branding, to getting an app back should be within 10 days. Most of that time is waiting for approval for the App Store though. But hopefully that's still fairly quick. Do you want to take that question,
Yeah.
Liz?
So question is, what happens if we initiate a check with this Safe Harbour check and the client cannot complete as they don't have a passport with an NFC? So as we've mentioned, it isn't compulsory that you do have to go through this Safe Harbour route, but it is the recommended route. If your client doesn't have a passport with that NFC chip, noting that it's only passports post 2006 in the UK that do have this chip, they can use a national biometric ID, and some other EU ID cards do have that NFC chip. It will return on the report if they've not able to complete that journey without the NFC chip that they aren't Safe Harbour compliant. So we will note that on your report once it's completed. It just means that you are not Safe Harbour compliant. It doesn't mean that you have failed that compliance, by the way. It does mean that your client will pass their ID check, but it just means they've not got that HMLR stamp of gold standard Safe Harbour ID check.
Cool, thank you. So we've got a couple of our existing clients just asking about the changes. And so just for clarity, the system you use and the ordering process you use hasn't changed at all. What you will, the main difference is that for your users, they get this new user interface, so this new user experience. The journey that you saw both on desktop and app will become the standard that everybody uses. We've already seen that this is going down well with consumers. They're finding it that little bit easier to use. So the support team are getting very good feedback on it already. Other than that, that's really the only change, the fact that you can now have a branded app, a branded website, but your actual interactions with our systems would be exactly the same. A few other questions around costs. I think that's clear, right? It's pay-as-you-go pricing. Liz, you want to take that question there?
Yeah, so it says we've got the eCOS fee is £6.30, is the VOI plus at the same price. So the enhanced product is slightly more expensive, if depending on what route you're going. So the web-based journey is £11 per check, and the app will be slightly more expensive at £15 a go.
Let's see. So will you be charged for Safe Harbour client check if it's not completed? Because we can't guarantee that your clients will use their passport or national identity card with an NFC chip in it, and in fact they don't have to in order to be able to buy a house. So we recommend it, and the cost of the check and all of the other things happening happens anyway. It's only literally whether or not that chip is used defines whether or not it's a Safe Harbour compliant transaction. So the price is the same because the whole process is basically the same, and you'll see the results returns to you, the ones that Mimi showed you. It will give you a full rundown on all of the different checks that were done, and it will tell you whether or not the check was Safe Harbour compliant. But obviously you don't need a passport to buy a house, so it's your call how you want to manage that with your clients. But we haven't found anybody that actually insists on Safe Harbour. It's just a preference that obviously everybody would like to try and achieve.
Yeah, so we've got a question, can this be used for various areas of law, or is it just property related? So yes, while we have the sale and purchase case types in eCOS, we also do have a private client tab, a commercial, and a gifter. We also have a separate tab for verification, so we are sort of catering for all types of law firms and their needs, so it's completely flexible.
Okay. We have a question if there is assistance for users whose first language is not English. So I mean, we have a fantastic customer support team who are hugely patient, and there are some different language skills in there. We don't officially offer a multi-lingual service, and we're not able to kind of cover every possible language that comes up. So probably the answer to that is there is support, but it's not at the moment. It's not support isn't available in multiple languages other than English. So you get very patient support people who are used to dealing with people who may not have English as their first language, but we can't guarantee that they would be able to speak all of the other languages that might come up. Liz, have you got any other questions there?
Yeah, so we've got one. Can a firm build their own question sets in the form? So you can't customize the forms, but we do regularly update these, and we work really closely with our client base to see what it is they need adding to these forms. And if, you know, it's popular demand, we will work with you and add those into our forms. We update them about every 4 months.
Okay, just had a question for clarity around the different costs. So it's not an additional £15 if people are using the app. It's £11 if they're not, and £15 if they are, and that really just kind of covers a lot of the fees that we have to pay in order to get those apps registered in the different stores. Okay. Can this just be used for conveyancing? So obviously a lot of our clients are in the conveyancing space, and that's, you know, historically where Infotrack's area of expertise is. We have found increasingly our clients are rolling out eCOS and the identity checks across all of the different areas of practice that they're involved in. I think there's greater emphasis now on identity checks and AMLs, and just understanding more about clients. So we're seeing that happening a lot. Generally, we see that people start onboarding using onboarding software in their conveyancing department first, just because the nature of the business there. But yeah, we're increasingly seeing this rolled out across the whole firm, so you can use it for any of your practice areas. Liz, you got any more?
Yeah, so we can do that. So eCOS is not Safe Harbour compliant, but the app is. How do I send ID verification to a client via the app? So as again, you can only get that Safe Harbour compliant check if it is completed via an app solution. How do I send the ID verification to a client via the app? You will need to register your interest. We will start building the custom app for you. Nothing looks different to the client on the eCOS ordering screen, and I think what we'll do at the end of this session is have Mimi just run through that with you. Nothing changes on the front end, it's all back end. So if you are signed up to the app and we've built that for you, and you place your eCOS order and you select VOI Plus, that will fire off that ID check, which will enable a Safe Harbour check, providing your client has the relevant ID.
Cool, great. So can you run Perfect Portal and this eCOS app? So yes, and we have clients where some teams are using Perfect Portal, some are just using the eCOS stuff. So having eCOS integrated in Perfect Portal in some cases, having eCOS as a standalone solution in others. The two will be integrated as well. So the journey that you've seen here will ultimately be the same journey that a client would get for onboarding through Perfect Portal as well. When we say the forms can't be amended by you guys, so what we're really referring to there is things like the TA6 forms and some of the other official forms that we have in onboarding. So we're working very closely actually with the Law Society, particularly with updates to the TA6 forms coming on what those updates should be and how we make them a bit more consumer friendly based on all of the feedback we get and all of the help we provide for consumers filling them in. In terms of the questionnaires that are in eCOS, So we can change those. What we try and do is just kind of work continuously with you guys, get your feedback and update them so that the forms work better for you. And we generally get really good feedback on that as well. You want to do that one?
Yeah, so we have a question. Can we check source of funds in the app? We can, yeah. So Mimi will show you the ordering screen, but one of the other products we have available in eCOS is the VOF. So that is the verification of funds product. We will provide the solicitor open banking solution via TrueLayer, and we will send back 12 months worth of bank statements to the client once the consumer, the end user, has gone into their app and uploaded their bank statements.
A couple more questions just about working with Perfect Portal. So and actually what that is for some people as well. So Perfect Portal is a service that you can use basically to do quoting through your website or via an app for your services. So it's more of a kind of new business and marketing tool in that sense, but then that can seamlessly flow through from somebody accepting that quote to them then using the onboarding journey. So eCOS is integrated into that journey. So if you're using Perfect Portal for all of those things, you don't have to worry about that, and you'll get these updates anyway. But obviously you can use the two together or separately. So you have a question around importing data into Leap. So what happens when we gather the data is obviously it all sits in our platform, and that can be pre-populated into all of the other tasks and different stages of the conveyancing process as you go. So taking that onboarding data and just using it all the way through. With Leap in particular, actually, we're just about to roll out some new functionality where we'll be able to kind of populate the data directly into the CMS. And allow you to resolve any differences between the data you have in your CMS in any given matter and the data that's collected in onboarding as well. So that's functionality which is on its way very soon as well. It's been completed, it's just in testing. Look, Liz, you got any other questions there? I think we've gone through most of them now.
Yeah, so standard VOF.
Source of funds we covered as well.
Yeah. So yeah, to be clear, VOI Plus on a desktop is not Safe Harbour compliant, but the app is. That's correct. So there's a bit of technology within an app-based product which allows the software to scan the NFC chip and extract that data. So that's not possible via a desktop solution, but it is possible via an app-based.
Yeah, basically you can only do that chip scanning using the scanner that's embedded in people's phones. You would need to flip from desktop to mobile or do the whole journey on mobile in order to be able to get that Safe Harbour compliant check. And that's the same for anybody, right? That's just one of the quirks of that requirement.
I think we have one more. So if you don't benefit from one of the case management company integrations, can you still use the app? The app is completely available to website clients and integrated clients. The only difference is return results won't drop back into your case management system. And as you use it now, you will be able to go into your eCOS Matter Viewer and download those results.
Yeah. And then just there's another question there, just going back to one of the things that we showed earlier. So just confirming whether or not the check is Safe Harbour compliant, because obviously ultimately you can't control which piece of ID somebody uses. We can recommend it, suggest, but they may choose to use their driving license still. So the report that you get back that Mimi shared earlier will very clearly state in the summary whether or not the check is Safe Harbour compliant. And that obviously that doesn't mean that you can't onboard these people as a client. It just means that you need to be aware that the journey was or wasn't Safe Harbour compliant based on the piece of ID that they used. So the question about whether Safe Harbour should be available on desktop, it just physically can't. You don't have chip readers in laptops and desktop computers. You only have the chip reader in a phone. And so unfortunately, that's why you have to use the mobile device in order to get the Safe Harbour compliant journey. Isn't that annoying? It is slightly annoying, but unfortunately, the only way you can do it. That switch between desktop and mobile is absolutely seamless, and all of the data that's populated in either one would be reflected on the mobile phone or on the desktop in real time as they're doing it. So the completion of the task, the percentage completion, you will see all of that update absolutely at the same time. I mean, I think in reality, for relatively long films with quite a lot of information, a lot of people will prefer to do that part on their desktop. But generally, it's easier and better to use a phone for identity checks anyway. So we see a lot of people switching between the two, which is why we've made that process as simple as possible. In terms of managing clients' expectations around that, so the clients we're working with now are putting this up front in their client care letters and just explaining the process, making the recommendation that we use that. Our support teams are very used to dealing with this as well, very skilled at helping people both with navigating the process that they're following and then also navigating the technology. So the system's optimized for all different kind of formats and browsers. The guys can sit on there and really talk to anybody on any device using any browser and help them find a way through this. And that's what they do every day. So they're very good at doing that. Okay, I think that might be it. Mimi, we've a couple more questions coming in, but if you were able maybe just to show people the order screen and how that works.
Yes, absolutely.
That's great. I don't think it will have all of the updated pricing in it yet, but you should be able to see that. So for anybody that's using it in our beta, there hasn't been any price increases for using the app. So you won't see those increases at this point.
Perfect. So we are looking at the eCOS ordering screen here. If you are acting in a conveyancing matter, you can onboard your client under one of the conveyancing tabs. We've also got tabs for commercial work, tabs for private client work, and a generic verification tab, so law firms can use our ID solution firm-wide. So alongside the VOI Plus, which is our Safe Harbour compliant solution, we also have a verification of funds, which will allow you to verify 12 months worth of bank statements. And we get these records directly from your client's bank, not from the client. So this just helps law firms alleviate the risk of whether or not the client is providing fraudulent transactions. So it's a shopping basket. The law firm can pick and choose which elements or which onboarding tasks they wish to send to the client. I can choose relevant forms. I can choose my Safe Harbour compliant check. I can choose my source of funds checks, and we do require your client's information to send them out the order. So we'll require your client's name, email address, and their mobile number. Those are all mandatory fields. You are also able to upload your own internal documents to send out to the client to sign. So it's things like your client care letter, your terms of business that you would be sending out here. And once you click on send to client, they're going to be notified initially via email to let them know that you've sent them onboarding tasks, and they're also going to be prompted to download your app and begin the journey. So Sam, would you like me to quickly show everybody on the call around the app? I know I showed the ID check earlier, but I can also show the rest of the tasks on the app. So this is what the onboarding looks like from your branded app once your client downloads this. So this is the Alkena Solicitors app. I can see again the ID check I've been sent, broken down into 3 parts. I can see the form I have to complete as well. Personal information. And I can work my way through this nice and easily. If I return back to my home page, I can also see The signing task, this will not be available for me to sign until the forms are completed at 100%. When we were first building eCOS, that was the biggest pain point law firms kept telling us. We don't want uncompleted paperwork coming back. We listened and we made sure your clients can't sign until they've completed the forms that have been allocated to them. Go back to the ID check, nice and easy broken down. When a task is completed, the client gets the green tick that you saw earlier in the video journey. If the client requires help at all, they get given the information for the support team they can contact. And as an extra security measure, there is the number on the screen, the 6409, which the client will have to quote before the support member is able to access their personal information. We also have our frequently asked questions that the client can access from within the app. And this just lets them know some of the information that they might need to successfully complete their onboarding. How to sign paperwork, what does the ID check entail, what forms of identity documents can I use to verify my identity. So it's a very easy to use, easy to follow journey. Once everything's completed, client gets a nice green tick. And if they do have extra documents that they'd like to submit to you, they can always click to upload documents and send this off. And this will immediately report back to your case management system if you are integrated. Otherwise, you'll receive an alert via email letting you know that these documents are now available in eCOS for you to view. Just again, before I stop sharing my screen, Sam, is there anything else that you would like me to go over?
No, I think that's it. Thank you very much, Mimi.
Perfect. Thank you, Sam.
Okay, just had a couple of questions come in. So one about, would we move to a full mobile app only experience removing the web app support? So we don't have any plans to do that right now. And I think one of the benefits of the way this works is that you can use the app, or you can use desktop, or you can use mobile web. So making the same experience available through each of those different channels, I think, is a strength, and it's valued by consumers as well. And as you can see from what Mimi shared there as well, I mean, it all looks the same. It's just sort of reformats to those different screen sizes. So it's a very consistent experience, but I think that's a real benefit, and we don't want to turn any channels off for people at this point. Is there a generic app as opposed to branded ones? So actually at the moment, all of the apps that we're creating would be branded to our clients. But if you wanted an unbranded version, that would also be fine. Just something we can talk through with you guys. I think we've just covered the rest of these questions. Recording can certainly be made available. I'm going to apologize now if I've missed anybody's questions, because there's millions of them and they've been coming through thick and fast, which is really good. We'll go back through all of the questions, and just if we have missed any out, we will get back to you individually. On pricing, there are a few questions around that, and just kind of clarity on those things. I kind of appreciate as well that pricing can be a bit different for different people as well. So if you want to get in touch, or we'll get in touch with you, and just kind of we can kind of clarify exactly how that works and how you want that to work for your clients, and we'll be as flexible as possible on those. In terms of contacting people to set up the branded app, really your training team or the BDM that you used, if you're not already a client, you can just kind of contact us through the website. There's request a demo, sign up now forms on there. All of the contact details on the website is probably the easiest thing. Recordings, copies of this normally go out next day, so it should be available tomorrow. Lots of people saying thank you, so thank you to we've also got a number of our existing clients on this call who have helped us build the app and helped us develop something which has now become which we believe, a market leading onboarding solution. So thank you for all of the partnerships and all of the help that you've provided as well. So I think with that, we'll draw things to a close. Thanks everybody for attending today. Really great to see so many people here. Hope that you guys all get to benefit from using the branded app, the branded website. It's an exciting new development for us as well. There are a ton of things to go through. We appreciate that it's a fairly complex area, so do just get in touch and we'll make it as simple as possible. Thank you all very much.